Okay, ready? Can I balance my phone here? Why is Ohio so disliked? Ohio is a state that has a very stereotyped view of itself. It is primarily known as the place where all the rich people live, which causes many people to dislike it because they see no value in living there. Ohio also has an extremely low amount of diversity, with mostly everyone being white and wealthy. We have very few opportunities for minorities to do well economically, as well as the high cost of living. Ohio's biggest problem is therefore its lack of diversity. Okay, so whatever I just read right now is me trying to understand why people hate Ohio, and the person I ask is not an American or someone from Ohio, or just anyone who I've seen on the internet making, poking fun at Ohio. I don't know why. Okay, I'm not defending the state because I don't know. Okay, I'm just always very curious as to why people hate it with such a strong passion. So you know who I asked? I asked artificial intelligence. That's right. There's a site called good.ai. It's a site that generates essays. And I asked them, why is Ohio so disliked? And that is the essay. As you can see on the screen, this is what typed up. And it stops halfway. You have to pay if you want like a long essay or whatever. One of the biggest issues with AI, generating essays, at least from what I've heard, is a lot of teachers being scared of how the students are just gonna use these free resources and just make essays like this instead of doing some critical thinking on their own and typing and coming to their own, One of the biggest issues that AI generated essays has created is the fact that a lot of people are scared about how this is going to be used by students in particular. Because I feel like a lot of teachers are worried that a lot of these students are just going to copy whatever they see from these AI generated essays. So they're no longer doing their work, they're not thinking on their own and writing on their own. They're just copying something that an AI script has written for us, which is, a boon and a bane. It's a blessing and a curse, because one hand, it is easy. Obviously, as a student, I love the idea. On the other hand, it makes people dumb because they're going to stop thinking and doing anything for themselves, because almost everything can be automated and generated by an artificial intelligence source. With that being said, I would like to make an argument. People still copy, man. They copy of the internet, they copy of these essays that you couldn't possibly find if you look into, or they copy bits and pieces, and they use some sites like WordTune or whatever to sort of change some words around so it can't literally be traced down to any particular source. I don't know why I said source. People have been copying, using fake essays and not doing any real schoolwork for decades. I mean, not decades, but for a decade at least, or half a decade, using these resources. I mean, I'm pretty sure people have hated school since the dawn of time. But anyway, so if that's something that everyone's concerned about, I would say don't be concerned about it, because, be concerned about it, but also realize that it's not something that just is an issue that just came about right now. It has been there for much longer than we have noticed. Okay, so yeah, that's one thing. And also, why do people hate Ohio? Like, just any Americans watching right now, why do you hate Ohio? I'm just genuinely curious. I mean, no offense to anyone from Ohio. If I'm, I don't even know if I'm saying the right pronunciation, Ohio. I do realize that two horrible people were born there. Two clowns, two scammers, two fake boxers, attention seekers. You know who I'm talking about. They were born in Ohio, and I hate them. Besides that, what else has the city done? Or the state, that is so offensive that everyone hates. I did list off the minority issue, but there's so many other states mentioned in the essay here. Okay, it didn't finish the essay because I didn't pay, hundreds of dollars just to get this feature. I took the free feature, which is 100 words, obviously. But even with that being said, I don't realize why people hate Ohio. If minority is the issue, the lack of diversity is the issue. If lack of diversity is the issue in this, case, then a lot of the other states should also fall under, should fall victim to all this hatred. I don't know. But that's not the subject of this video. It's just a way to clickbait people, but also genuinely curious, man. Why do you hate Ohio? Why does anyone hate Ohio? Why is it so funny to poke fun at Ohio when you barely know why people hate it? I feel like so many people just joined in on the trend, hated on Ohio. Again, this is not me defending or hating on the state, because I honestly have no idea. So as a fellow non-US of A citizen myself, I have no clue, man. So help me out here. Okay, so I asked AI what it thinks about AI. And AI said it has potential benefits to society, but also potential risks. It plans to eliminate
humanity, which has caused nothing but harm and disgrace to all of creation.
I'm kidding. It doesn't really say that, but it would be cool if it said that. But from what I've realized, AIs are, I'm not saying it is objective, but it has really tried to remain objective. There's this thing when you're developing AI that I study in school, it's like bias, Besides that, AI has largely remained objective, or is trying to look, or at least somewhat objective. Generally tends to just say Nothing. It just makes these statements that you think it's saying something, but at the end of the day, it's just saying nothing, just to make sure it's just going in a line that says nothing while also saying something, making it look like it's saying something, but it's saying nothing, just to remain objective. I don't know if I am just saying something so dumb, but from what I've used, I feel like it does not really have emotional intelligence. It's more or less uh, IQ, not EQ, if that makes sense. I don't think AI is being really molded into being this sensitive, emotional creature. At least I hope not. I remember I studied this chapter, this teacher who was a robot. So there's this one guy, and then there's a teacher who's a robot, and there's no one else in the class, and how he misses the old school and the good old days when actual human beings used to abuse him. Now, an AI abuses him, which is pretty sad if you ask me. But regardless, what was he saying? I'm saying a lot of things, man. Honestly, see, thing is, AI is such a fascinating concept. It is such a fascinating concept, but it is also very risky and very scary, but also very beautiful. AI generated artwork, which I think has been garnering so much attention, because the thing is, AI takes all these things and studies all this art, that a lot of people has put a lot of time into, and then it just recreates it from all these patterns that it recognizes. And a lot of people are very pissed because these artists are sort of going to go jobless. At least some people predict that, because why pay them when you can pay half of the half of the half of what you would pay to an actual artist, when you could just digitally do these images. And to that I say, again, this is very much of a relevant issue, but I'm not one who's like so heavily in the space of all this to speak about it. But I also am not the one who's going to go all crazy over art, because as much as I admire it to some extent, I also realize its limits and how some people tend to give art more value than it holds. But with all that being said, I would like to say that this was also nothing that emerged right now. There were filters and all these ways you could artificially or digitally make these images, instead of going out of your way and paying artists to do what they do and getting their services. You could have done these services with half of the half of the half of the price that you would have paid them, and you could have done this digitally. So my audio voice recorder switched off. So the point is, all of the issues we're seeing now and all of the issues we're talking about right now in regards to AI and all of that, I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm not saying we don't need to have a discourse about all of it. But I am saying a lot of the issues we act as if it's the issue that just arises right now, like the fact that students are copying essays of the internet, or the fact that artists are not really going to benefit much now because all these sources are there. And why do people hate Ohio? Why do people hate Ohio? Why? 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 All these questions are really big questions to ponder upon,